like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy.
Gear up, Scooter fam. Today, just gonna do a quick video. While I'm riding, I did have an interesting ride on this ride, so we'll get to take a look at that and talk about it, everything that went on. But before we get into that, I'm gonna go ahead and go over a few things. First of all, thanks again to Melvin from Voro Motors for showing up for the podcast. I really appreciate you taking out your time. He's probably got a ton to catch up on since being out of the country and then coming back and managing. Once again, thank you so much for showing up. Thanks for Tiger Grimsack also for showing up and helping me out with that podcast. He's been my day one, dude that I can count on for the podcast when I have them. So thanks. I appreciate that a lot. I really enjoy doing the podcasts, as I mentioned, and I'll do them as much as I can because they're very enjoyable. Know some of you guys like them as well. Not everyone, but as like I said, I enjoy them. So as long as hopefully they catch on, there aren't too many electric scooter podcasts such as mine. So I like doing them, and I'll continue if I can get people. Like I said, Average Guy 1983 mentioned that he'd be interested in doing something maybe in the future, in the near future. So hopefully we'll get that taken care of, and we can get back on with him and have some fun. So yeah, what I'm just trying to figure out where I'm at. I'm trying to get to the bank, and can't remember how to get there exactly. The reason I have my mirrors on today is because I was planning on getting in the bike lane, and so I was I put my mirrors on. I like I said, if I'm taking the bike trails or sidewalks, I don't usually worry about it. But I took them off when I was working on it one time, and this and I haven't put them on yet because I've been mainly taking the sidewalks and bike trails for the most part lately. So haven't really been necessary for me to get rearview mirrors or anything like that. So I did put them on today because I was planning on taking the bike lane, and so I wanted to watch out for cars. I jumped in a bike lane on a pretty busy street. I didn't know it was there. I didn't realize it was a bike lane. So the other day I was riding around. I saw someone using it as a bike lane. I thought, oh, okay, that's cool. It's on a fairly busy street, and so I like that. If I'm on residential roads, I try to use the whole lane if I think I can go fast enough with traffic. But on this road, clearly I could not. It's kind of like this one in front of me now. I wouldn't jump out there in this particular road. But if I had a bike lane, I'd be tempted. And so that's what this situation is. It's a nice little road that travels pretty quickly, and I can get going pretty fast on the bike lane. And I just wanted to test it out. And that's all. I'm not, I've never ridden like a bike lane other than just that short period the other day. But I was planning on doing that today. And so I was going to make a stop by the bank. In any case, there was, so that's what I'm doing today. And didn't go quite as planned, as you guys will see. But anyway, and you probably already know, I'm sure I'm going to mention it on the thumbnail. But anyway. Yeah, so I just like to keep up with traffic on these little small roads. I can, instead of messing with the sidewalks and that guy's walking and everything, I just say, I'm just gonna jump out here and get on the in the road. And it's only like 30 miles an hour, 25 to 30 miles an hour, depending on where you are on this road. And I think that's fine, especially with the Klima. Now on the Journey Max, I didn't. I can only get like 20, 21 miles an hour, and I didn't really like being staying at that speed without kind of getting out of the way because I couldn't go any faster. On this road, I can easily get up to 25, 30 miles an hour on the Klima with no issues, and feel pretty comfortable in that range. And I don't think people would be too uh, upset about that with me being out here going 25, 30 miles an hour. Now, in any case, what I was going to talk about today, I might as well, I'll have to wrap this up with some other video. But first, I want to talk about my brakes. And so, as you guys may have seen on the description and the title for the video, I messed up my brakes on my Klima. So what happened is, you'll see up here, I was just checking my map to see where I was at, and then so I'm gonna go up here to the main intersection, and I was gonna check my map again because I couldn't remember which direction to go, because I wanted to see which direction I was going in. So it's been a while since I went to this bank, and so when I get up here to the intersection, I stop and get off my scooter in this parking lot, and I figure like it's a good place. It's no one's there in the parking lot, so it's empty. I can just pull off over there and check my maps and see which way I need to go to get to my bank. And so as you guys will see here in a minute, it happens pretty quickly. I get off the scooter, I put the kickstand down, and then it falls over. It's that simple. That's all that happened. My scooter falls over immediately after I set it down, and put the kickstand down with no warning. I was on a little bit of a slope, and I just didn't realize it was an issue, and until my scooter is on the ground. Now, something like that, you wouldn't think would be too big of a deal, but once again, as you'll see up here, it completely messed up my brakes. It landed on the left brake. It didn't really do much else to the scooter, and it was just a simple fall over. This is there was nothing major going on here. The scooter just fell over in the parking lot. What would normally be maybe a scratch on the end of the handlebar. I had my mirrors up. Maybe one of my mirrors broke, falling to the ground. But they didn't, and if I got a scratch, you could barely tell. So it's hardly noticeable. However, my entire brake is detached from the scooter. It's inoperable from a simple fall. You'll see it's about to happen here. I get off, put my kickstand down, and boom, there it goes. And you'll see when I pick it up, look how bent that is. You can't, and you'll see it here in a second, but it's completely bent up. Looks like those racing style brakes, but it's completely bent up. And then you'll see it's disconnected. It's completely loose. There's nothing there. So from here, there's not a lot in the video. So I'll just go ahead and pause it here while I finish up this talking point. There's a couple of more things that I was going to talk about. So I'll put on some more ride footage in a second, but I just want to wrap up what happened here. So that's there's really nothing else to see. I take my helmet off and set it on the ground, and then start addressing the situation. and trying to figure it out. So my left, once again, this is the problem I had before with my other uh, brakes on the Klima. The left, not exactly the same issue because it didn't fall down, but I still have those brakes. Interestingly enough, but I think it wasn't the hydraulic line wasn't seated properly, and all the oil locked out. I didn't know it leaked out. I didn't know this at the time when I got them. It leaked out, and I told them that it leaked out, and that I needed new brake levers and so forth. So they, in any case, there was no pressure, and so I probably could have bled the brakes on that side and been fine. And if I disconnected my electrical brake, I probably could have used the scooter. So that being said, today it fell on my left brake, which my left brake is my rear brake, and which means I have no rear brake at this point. While this video is frozen, I have no rear brake, and so I've got a dilemma. I'm pretty far from home, a few miles at least, and it would suck to have to walk this scooter all the way back. I mean, that it wasn't too bad by the bike lane there. I could have walked back from there with not too much issues, but now I've went all the way down several blocks. I wouldn't want to take that road back. So the other option is to call my wife to come pick me up and put the scooter in the car. And I've never actually tried to put the Klima in the car, so I don't know how easy that would be. Hopefully, it wouldn't be too bad, but it's going to be kind of on an as needed situation. I'm not going to go try to tackle it for no reason because there's never been a reason to. So I'm sure I could figure it out. I've just got a sedan, so it's not an SUV or anything like that. It's just a simple 4-door sedan, and the trunk is decent. If not, I could try to figure something out. I think the backs of the seats let down. I feel like there's a way to probably figure it out. I'm pretty creative when it comes to that kind of stuff. So not have to take the mirrors off in this case. Obviously, that wouldn't work. But I carry tools with me, which is how I ended up adjusting the situation. So as you can see, the brake had come completely apart from the brake lever from the brake system itself. Now, I was thinking that the hydraulic fluid had leaked out, the mineral oil, and that because of this, that I wouldn't have any brake pressure. And if I didn't have any brake pressure on my rear brakes, then I've got to walk, or I've got to call my wife. So, because there's no getting home with a front brake, and with the front brake only, it's just not realistic. Fortunately enough, it didn't mess up my brake line. It did not pull my brake line from my brakes. It did not cause a leak. The only problem was that it had come detached from the brake itself. The lever had come detached from the brake itself. I always bring tools with me. I have plenty of tools. I don't have a bleed kit, so I couldn't bleed my brakes there on the side. But yeah, other than that, I have a pretty hefty little toolkit with me. Apollo sent one that I like. It's got some wrenches. I don't think those wrenches, even though I carry them, I don't think they fit the Klima. Klima has larger nuts. So I was able to, with the tools that I have, Allen wrenches. I have all the Allen wrenches. I've got my air kit. I've got almost anything I could possibly need besides the bleed kit on the side of if I need on the side of the road. So I was able to get the brake reattached, the brake lever reattached to the brake housing, and make it home. With as is. But the issue is that it works. The brakes are working. I can ride them. I had to make some adjustments and so forth to get them to work, and they're not perfect. They're not perfect. It's bent. It doesn't really stop me. I usually use the one finger, so it's not a big deal. But You know, if I want to use the whole, it would kind of be awkward to pull that left brake. But since I use only the pressure of my fingers most part for the with the single brakes, it's not terrible. It's workable. The thing is that, you know, this is a screw right here, and it got stripped out of the housing that it sits in, and I was able to get it back in there without issue, but it still is stripped. I don't trust it 100%, and it's bent. It's bent up, and I'm, you know, obviously I'm gonna need to do something about that. So I'm gonna have to get new brakes at some point. That's a little complicated right now. Well, you know, I'm not. You know, technically I'm still under warranty, although I don't know if this will be covered under warranty since the scooter fell over, and it was kind of my fault. But in any case, I still rather that the place I bought it from had the brakes, and the place I bought it from is no longer in business. So I can't get a hold of them to get brakes because they don't. They're not gonna support support me as a customer, like I was the reason I went there. So normally it wouldn't cost me too much to get a brake lever and replace it, but you know, like I said, since I've got to find them elsewhere, you know, it's going to be a hassle. I went to Wired Rides, and they have, you know, some parts, but they don't have brake levers, and so I got a couple of choices, few choices. I can reach out to Wired Rides and see if they can get them for me, or maybe they have them in stock but not listed on their site. If they have to get them for me, they're gonna have to go to Michael Shaw, and I'm probably gonna get charged who knows how much money to get them. Especially if that's the kind of special order them. If they do that, they're gonna jack it up, and I'm in a situation where I can't really say too much about it. I've just kind of got to go along with the plan. I don't like that. I feel like I'm gonna end up having to pay more than I should, than I would have if I had fluid free ride to depend on, and so that's, you know, that is what it is. But I got a feeling that's the case. The other choice is to go to Michael Shaw, and I'm not sure, and I may be able to get a better deal than if I went through Wired Rides, but I'm not sure. Either way, I feel like it's gonna be a bigger hassle than if I just would have been able to go to Fluid Free Rides and get my brake lever. So I'm in a tough situation, and of course the last option is to just get completely new brakes, but they're, you know, expensive. If I went with something like the Magura brakes, you know, I think that the ones that I found that will work for the Klima are like $300, and I'm not really excited. I'm not really excited about dropping $300 on a whole new set of brakes right now. Not to mention, I don't know if I had to replace the brake line with the Maguras. If I had to just replace the other things, you know, it wouldn't be as big deal, like the levers, the calipers. But I don't really want to replace the hydraulic brake line. If I don't have to, I probably wouldn't do it, because I'd have to feed that through the stem, and I just really don't want to have to mess with that. So if I couldn't use or zip tie it down to the outside of the stem, either way, I prefer it the way it is. And so I'll have to see. I really have to see. I don't think it's going to cost me $300 to get new brake levers, but at the same time, you know, I don't want to be stuck in this situation again. So that's the situation I'm in. My brakes aren't 100% pristine. I can get around on them. I'm a little nervous now about going too fast. If something happens, that thing came detached again, or, you know, who knows? I could be, you know, obviously it wouldn't be good. And it's my rear brake, so it's an issue. Now, what I could do, there is another option, but I don't like that option either, to be honest with you. But it is an option, which is go back, put my old brakes on. Now, I didn't do that in the past for a couple of reasons. One, the left brake had no pressure, so there was no point in in that. I could have disconnected the electronic brakes, just disconnected them, and rode the scooter around using just the hydraulic brakes. That'd be fine if the left brake had had pressure, and I did not have a bleed kit at the time. Could have got a bleed kit and done that, but I was just trying to figure all this out. Plus, it's a brand new scooter I've never ridden before. So the real answer is to get the brakes that work. And so now I can go back to those brakes. Those brakes, I did a little fix. I put some hot glue on the lever where it meets with the sensor, because there was just a gap that wouldn't catch when the brakes were disengaged. That was causing the brake lights to stay on, and there's the issue. The only negative thing, which isn't the worst thing in the world, is a couple of times before I used the hot glue, I put some tape in there to see if it would work, and I was testing it out, not going anywhere crazy, just on a parking lot, testing it out to see how it would work, and the tape would come dislodged, and the scooter would just come to a stop, slow stop. Not a big deal, just all of a sudden you're trying to hit the throttle and it just dies on you, It's like the battery went out or something. But it's just because the brakes disengaged because of the connection, once again, not being there. So I use hot glue, which is much more permanent and doesn't doesn't get dislodged, and I was able to do that with some pretty decent success. Now once again, I still didn't have full pressure in that left brake, but I was able to get by because the regen brakes would work, and that was enough. I couldn't stop quickly, so I had to still be real careful. I didn't ride around in anything other than D mode, which is the lowest mode I can ride on that scooter in. Eco mode just doesn't do it. So I ride around in D mode until I got my brakes where they worked really well. And right now they're not there. They're not at that point. They don't work really well. They work, but I did what I could, to get it back. But I don't have and I'm still once again hesitant about jumping out on like I was just now in the video on a major street going 25, 30 miles an hour with questionable brakes. And so I could put the other brakes on, and I'd be happy doing that. Either if the glue stays and will continue to hold up, that's fine. If it doesn't, I could always disengage the. I'd have to test that out just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure I can. I can disengage the electronic brakes completely, and the scooter should not cut off at that point if I do that. Now, I can still use the hydraulic brakes because they're hydraulic, and I would still be comfortable driving 25, 30 miles an hour if my hydraulic brakes worked. Very simple. Now, so that's the other option I could do as a temporary fix. I haven't done that yet. I haven't made up my mind about that, but I am considering it until I can get the situation solved, because right now I'm not comfortable with the brakes the way they are. And unless I get an answer, or I may wait and get the Magura brakes. If I can get the Magura brakes with the scooter without replacing the hydraulic line, I will. I've done a little bit of research, and the lines look different. I've never seen a full install or switch, so I can't say 100%. If I find one, I'll get a better feeling about that. Maybe I'll wait and at some point drop $300 on some Magura brakes and put Magura brakes on the Klima. That'd be kind of cool. Other than that, I'll probably have to check with Wire. I probably would check with Wired Rides first. Ask them if they have them. If they don't, how much would they be? And if they quote me a price, I'll probably go directly to Michael Shaw and ask him how much he can get them to me for. I know it's going to be some shipping from out of state. There's probably going to be some incredible uh, import taxes on top of that because of everything that's going on. So I'm just going to wait it out. Uh, Likely, I'm going to wait it out, and maybe switch them back to my old brakes and see how that goes. Because I should be able to bleed that one side now, get it properly installed. I'm pretty sure that's the only problem is it wasn't seated properly. So when I fix that, get it properly seated, and get pressure back on my left brake, then I'll be comfortable riding the scooter until I decide what else I need to do, to where I can get one that's not rigged up. We'll see. So that's probably going to be the way I'm going to have to go with it. To be honest with you, the more I think about it, like, makes the most sense. I don't like this, lever falling off. Pretty much, I'm trying to ride it around. It feels pretty sturdy. I don't get the feeling that it's going to come off. But after riding it today and getting the feel for using it I went on a short trip, but just a short trip, just using it as like a, not just only getting home. I didn't like the way it felt. I don't feel like I'm getting the braking that I need, and I'm not comfortable going high speeds. But just like it was before, before I got them fixed. So I'll update you guys, and I'll let you know how that goes, and I'll keep you posted on that. All right, we'll get on some more footage. Now this is before my brakes broke, so I just thought I would continue showing some footage while I'm chatting. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm probably going to go ahead and switch them out now that I'm talking through it. It seems like the most logical way to go while I'm trying to figure this out, especially after riding today and kind of getting a feeling for. I didn't really like how they felt. I don't like the idea of not having my electronic brakes, but mostly that's only because of the brake lights. But right now I'm fine. The tail light and the brake light. I'm not sure if the tail light will work either. But in any case, even if the brake lights don't work, then not a big deal. So yeah. Now I was gonna talk about another little kind of side note. I had a electronic mower and a weed eater that I used to cut my lawn. I had it for a couple of years, and it worked great, no issues. And but this year I decided to hire someone to cut my lawn, and so I decided to give my lawnmower and weed eater to my neighbor. And so I was going to ask him if he wanted it, and he could have it, and wanted to give my my mower and my electric weed eater. It's a Greenworks. Like I said, worked really well for me. But I just decided I wasn't going to hassle with it this year. If I decide next year to do it again, I may get another mower. I'll probably get a little bit more beefy mower. Not that there's anything wrong with the one I had. I just, to make it a bit easier on myself, if I had gotten a larger volt. Mine was a 48 volt system, and I liked it. If I used 224 volts to run, it's more of a medium size. It was a medium size mower for your yard. And if I win again, I'll probably get a bigger one just to make the job easier. But right now, I decided this year I'm not gonna do it at all. I'm gonna pay someone to do it, and then next year, if I just decide that I'd rather save the money and buy me another mower for a couple of years, I might do that. But this year I'm taking the year off, and I'm paying someone else to do it for me. So the reason I brought that up is because I was getting the mower and weed eater from my neighbor, and I hadn't used it all season. It's sitting up, and so like I said, the first time it was time to mow, I decided, I'm gonna get someone to come do it. So instead of me going out there, the cool thing though about having an electric mower in the beginning of the season is that it's not a gasoline mower. It hasn't been sitting there. You're not gonna have to go out there and prime it or mess with anything, and try to and you know get it going so it'll finally start up. You go out there, you slap the batteries, then you turn it on, and it's good to go. And so it doesn't matter what I mean. It's really simple. There's no prep work. It's just like you left when you left it. It's so nice. So anyway, I went out there and got them for him. And while I was taking a look at the weed eater, it was kind of got some stuff. So the first thing I did was actually I tested it. Right, I put the battery in. I gave it a spin, and then I couldn't tell if I could see the cord, and so I turned it over to see the cord, and it was kind of some cobwebs, and I kind of smacked it on the ground real hard. And like you would do a weed eater if you're trying to get the cord to come out. But anyway, I smacked it on the ground pretty hard, and I flipped it over again, and the second time I flipped it over, I noticed an egg sac. There was like an egg sac and a spider from a spider. And I don't know if some of you guys see my older videos, but I'm kind of a spider geek, spider nerd. I like spiders, and so I immediately look for the spider. And when you see an egg sac, it's a good chance there's a spider around. And interestingly enough, we're right here at the crosswalk. So in any case, what was there was a black widow. There's a black widow on the other side of the weed eater that I had already turned on, that had slammed against the ground, and the spider was just sitting there chilling, like not doing a thing. And so when I noticed it, I'm like, okay, I got a black widow on here. Now I don't panic. I'll tell you some of the stories, but I've been around black widows. I had my home in Dallas when I bought it. It was a brand new home, and I went to the garage and found a black widow in the bottom corner of the garage, and I thought, okay, I'll catch it. I'll take it out to the field. I'll let it go, and wish it the best, And that's what I did. When I got back, I noticed another. This was a dead black widow by my front door. And I thought, okay, this is not going to be a simple take this black widow out to the field and never have any issues with black widows again. So I lived in that house for about 5 years, and the whole time I lived there, that house was infested with black widows everywhere. And so now mostly, I don't think I ever found them inside the house. I never found them actually inside the house, but they were all in the garage. They were all on the back porch, and they were all around the edges of the house all the time. And so, I just told everyone, look, we have black widows around here. Watch where you put your hands. Don't reach in somewhere you can't see. Just, common sense kind of stuff. It doesn't mean that it's going to bite you anyway, but you certainly want to know where you're putting your hands. Very simple. And so, in any case, I noticed it was a black widow, and so I saw, okay, I gotta go take care of this. I gotta let the black widow go, whatever. And so the whole time I lived in this house, no one ever got bit by a black widow, even though they were literally everywhere. And so, it goes to show that you can live in a house that is I never got any exterminators. I didn't want to mess with all that. It's nasty. I got pets. I mean, they're just black widows. So there was never an issue. So what I did with this particular black widow, I think about it. I called my neighbor over there. I was just calling my neighbor over there because I thought it was kind of cool that I found a black widow under the in the weed eater, and so I wanted to show them. I also wanted to let them know that there's black widows around here. Like, we have them. Be careful, that kind of thing. But I didn't kill the spider, and I know I wouldn't kill the spider. What I did was I let it go. I took a stick and I chased it off of the weed eater onto the ground by my house, on the other side of my house, and let it go kind of back where it was at, a little ways down from where I had my weed eater. And so I let it go, and it scrambled off and went away. And then I took a stick and got the egg sac out of there, and then gave it to my neighbor. But the reason that I brought that up is because when I first started riding my scooter, I went to and I have some footage of this, and if I find anything easily to find, I'll put it up on here, at least a still shot of it. But while I was out first riding my scooter, see there the bike lanes I was talking about. While I was first out riding my scooter, I came up to a intersection, and I didn't really notice. I reached over there, I tapped the sign just like I did earlier. It's like the walk deal there, and I'm sitting there waiting, and I glance back again, and I see a web, and that's all I see, just a web. And I was like, and once again, I'm a spider geek, so I want to know what's in the web, what's over there. I glance over there, and it's a black widow, and the black widow is literally inches from the push button, inches from the push button that people push. And so I thought, that's really interesting, and it didn't bother me. I went on my way. Now, obviously I would like to know, as I said before, I would like to know before I hit this thing that there's a black widow there, at least, if nothing else, to keep my eye on the spider. But I or make sure I reach to the part furthest away from the spider so I don't disturb the spider, startle the spider, whatever. Most of the time they'll scramble off. But I looked over there. It had a web. It had an egg sac too. And so what I did was I wanted to see. This is sort of like an experiment. And I go this part. This is on the one of my routes that I take, not the bike lane, but when I go down to residential neighborhoods to Walmart, it's along that route. So every time I would go to Walmart, and I have footage of this, I was recording at the time. Every time I go to Walmart, I would stop by and see. I think I have footage. I have some somewhere, but it's been a while. In any case, every time I would go, I would check to see if the spider was still there. I know it may seem a bit irresponsible to leave a black widow knowingly inches away from where people put their hands every day. There's lots of people that come by that walk sign. There's lots of people that touch that walk sign to cross the button. And although there's a very small risk, there's still a risk, and it is potentially dangerous spider. But I didn't really think that the risk was significant, and so what I wanted to do was document it. I wanted to document how long the spider would be there. So I mean, there's a number of things that could happen. The spider could just decide he didn't want to be there anymore. Someone could see the spider and chase him off. The spider could get eaten by a bird. There's so many different scenarios that could take place for that spider to no longer be there. And certainly considering that it's inches away from someone's where they're punching that button. So the odds of someone seeing that spider and then getting spooked out about it. Not most people aren't as tolerant of spiders and certainly black widows as I am, if they could identify it. And not everyone can identify black widows. But, and I still reach down to push. I don't even think about it. It's not something I even think about. But, you know, I tracked this spider. I named it Charlotte. All right. So I tracked Charlotte for 2 months. That spider stayed in that same spot, inches away from where people were pushing that button. Now, sometimes she was hidden. Sometimes I had to look real close to see if she was hiding, but because she saw me, she would scamper away. And the same thing if someone else come. Now that day, I hit that button. She didn't move. And a couple of times I caught her outside, and she didn't scamper. I didn't startle her. No big deal. But if I stopped to really look at her and take a look, she would spook and go running inside. But I never expected to find that spider there for 2 months. This whole time without leaving, without something happening to the spider. Like I said, just voluntarily going on, whatever. 2 months, that spider stayed in that same spot without an issue. I eventually stopped tracking it. The seasons changed. I figured the spider eventually moved on. But I'm positive it's not still there. That'll be interesting. But because this was last summer, so for 2 months straight, I tracked that spider there. Now I never expected that. I went back thinking, am I going to see it the next time? The first couple of times I went, I thought, is it going to still be there? But once I started realizing this spider's not going anywhere, and people didn't notice it, and it didn't bother anyone. And even though on a daily basis several people came by that walk sign, not a single incident occurred. The spider didn't bother anyone. No one bothered the spider, and everything was wonderful. All right. I think I only got one more thing to talk about real quick. So that's my Black Widow story. If you want, I can try to find that footage, and I can maybe put a video together, just kind of putting all that footage together into a quick video, like me going back. And sometimes it's harder to see than others. There's some times where it's clearly out there. A couple of times it took me a while to see it. And on camera, it really was difficult to see. But in person, I had to look really closely, and I'd see her hiding in there, and I literally tracked that spider for 2 months straight. And every time I'd go, the web would be intact, and I was like, wow. And it was just incredible, in my opinion. But I thought that was a really interesting experiment, document, the way I documented that. I'm pretty sure nothing like that has been done, and I thought it was a pretty cool thing. So that's what I did. Like I said, 2 months, that spider stayed there with no issues, and it kind of blew me away a little bit. I don't know what I expected. Like I said, I never done something like that, considering its close proximity to people on a regular basis. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I really thought the odds of someone getting attacked by this other black widow was pretty slim, and I still think that's true. The spider will run. You'd have to try to catch the spider or something, and don't do that. So, but honestly, that's it. You're not. The spider's no danger to you if you're not harassing it. So, most people get bit by spiders sitting on them without knowing they're there. Very rarely it's that they're just too close to the spider and the spider just attacks them. It's rarely the case. I kept tarantulas for years, never been bitten. Tarantulas will bite, and when you're dealing with a spider in a closed area that can't get away, then you're more likely to get bitten when that's its only defense left. So, but I never got bitten. Kept a deadly tarantula. Oh, sorry, there's no such thing as a deadly tarantula. I kept a deadly scorpion, and for a couple of years with no issues there. Story from that time. But anyway, I would have never potentially bought a deadly scorpion just for responsibility's sake. there was no danger in having it other than the potential danger. And so my brother, he got it, and his wife wouldn't let him keep it, so he gave it to me. I even though I wouldn't have got it myself, I will take it and keep it. It only lasted 2 years. For some reason it just didn't have a long lifespan. 2 years is pretty good. The longest I ever had a tarantula for was about 8 years. I had one tarantula 8 years, and then that was my last tarantula. Once I had that 8-year tarantula, I was like, okay, I'm good on tarantulas. I've had the largest tarantula there exists, which is a Goliath bird eater, and I had one. It wasn't as they can get to like a foot in diameter. This one's about 9 inch. She was a 9 inch female, and although she didn't make it very long. I got her. I don't know if she was sick or something I did. I mean, really quickly. I doubt it was something that I personally did. But anyway, it didn't. It only lasted about 2 weeks, and that was kind of depressing. I paid like a decent amount of money for that spider. But in any case, I felt bad about it. Obviously, this huge spider, 9 inch female Goliath bird eater. Anyway, enough about spiders and scorpions. You guys are probably, tired of that stuff. So anyway, there's this is where I noticed a guy in a bike lane. I think, and I was like, I want to try. This is the first time I realized that this was a bike lane. I just thought that was like, unless they just painted it, it looks pretty fresh. But in any case, I just now noticed it, and someone was using it. I said, oh, that's a bike lane, and so I want to use it. And so when I get up here, there's a guy traveling, and that's one reason I might not want to use it. There's a guy traveling the wrong direction in the bike lane, which is incredibly dangerous. If I was heading the opposite direction, one of us would have to figure something out. And since he's heading in the opposite direction of traffic, which is a terrible idea, I'd probably have to jump out into traffic for a moment. And here he comes. He's on an e-bike. On an e-bike going the opposite direction in the bike lane. That guy's an idiot. I thought that to myself, like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're gonna hurt yourself or someone else. Like I said, me, I'd probably, when I noticed he was heading my direction, I'd probably jump out in that left lane and kind of zoom on past him. But that's not the point of being in that lane over there. The purpose of having that lane. But and then I think there's a cop. He just like let him sit there and go down the opposite way. But anyway, yeah, he's gonna get hurt, man. He needs to know what he's doing. If I'd been over there, I probably would have like told him, like, dude, what are you doing, bro? So anyway, I get to use the little bike lane here for a second, so that's cool. Once crazy guy got out of the way. But real quick, before I wrap this video up, I don't know how long this is going to stretch out. This video may take a little while, but I had to cover a few things. I did go on a ride with my buddy on his Max G3. He had just gotten his Max G3, and he called me the other day, and he's like, "Hey, I got the Max G3. I told you he gave me some early impressions of it, and then he asked if I wanted to go ride it. So of course, I was like, sure, no problem. Yeah, I would love to go ride it real quick. I didn't get any footage. Once again, he wasn't prepared to be on camera or anything, so he'd ask if I just come and just go riding. So that's what I did. So I don't have any footage. Hopefully we'll get some in the future of the Max G3 and some others. I'm gonna ride the Phantom. So I haven't got to ride his Phantom yet. He's gonna let me ride that, and so I'm looking forward to that. And I was a little concerned about this little uneven part here, and that's one of the things I don't like about the bike lanes. But it actually was pretty even, so it's not an issue. But you can't tell till you get right there. But yeah, that's why I put the mirrors on. But in any case, I want to kind of give some early impressions of my experience with the Segway Max G3. So to kind of give you my feedback. Now, to start off, I'll say that you know I was impressed with the scooter. I'm pretty I'm pretty tough on single motor scooters, and kind of you know for decent reasons, hill climbing ability, acceleration, that kind of thing. And I'll say that this scooter uh, has no issues. This scooter has no issues with acceleration or hill climbing for the most part, as far as the acceleration and hill climbing part. But what I'm getting at is there the it's got great acceleration. It's it's probably it's probably very comparable to the Go, to the Apollo Go. I think that's my experience. It's stated to have uh, to get up to 15 miles an hour in like 2.4 seconds or something like that. And if they've done testing on that, that's fine. I'll take their word for it. I didn't notice it to be nearly as powerful as the Klima. I don't even use the Klima on max, and when you do, you'll know. So uh, that for that scooter, but I will tell you this: is obviously I've only ridden one other single motor scooter, which was my neighbor's H85F or something like that, I think it was, and it's a 350 watt front motor. The Max G3 is a rear motor, and it's a single motor, and a quite little zippy motor. I've heard people say that in reviews, and it's true. It is quite zippy, and it's definitely, from an acceleration standpoint, uh, at least as good as the Go. So I have no problems admitting that. I have no problem saying that. Nice scooter, really nice scooter in general. Beefy, pretty beefy. It's got 11-inch tires, although not that wide. They're more in diameter, but still decent feeling scooter. Riding it around, and the only thing I'll say, there's a couple of things that these are more of personal preference, and it has a half thumb throttle, half twist throttle, which I didn't realize when I got on, and I wear gloves. So the one problem with me, and I was trying to use a thumb throttle, you got to put your hand pretty close to the inside of the handle grip to use the thumb throttle like that. And so I naturally do that, and I was pushing the thumb throttle as I was testing it out. It's just in a parking lot, no big deal. But when I was testing it out, I hit the thumb throttle, and then I released it, to slow down. But it didn't slow down. I thought the throttle got stuck, and what happened was I still had a hold of the throttle with my hand, because it's like a quarter twist throttle along with the thumb throttle. And so even though I had released the thumb, I hadn't released the hand part. And so the twist throttle part. And so, I mean, I noticed, and I let go, but so then I did let go, and it took a little while to get used to, but I just didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I didn't wearing gloves. It's kind of hard to get a sense for where it's at. Yeah, I mean, I don't like that idea. I really don't. Uh, not too big of a deal. I was just testing it out and so forth, and it was very fun to ride and test out. But I don't like that, and yeah, just not my kind of throttle. Half quarter twist thumb. I'd rather go with the thumb throttle. I don't really care for the twist throttles. I haven't really used them much, but even using that one, I tried it just using it as a twist throttle. I didn't really like that either. Uh, Once again, without full dexterity, I just didn't like it. The other thing was, even though the acceleration was on par with the Go, it didn't feel it didn't feel as nice to use. And so although it's incredibly zippy and you can still get up to speed pretty quickly, the front wants to pull like you're going to do a wheelie. There's no traction in the front. There's no pull from the front. So everything's in the back. So when you're moving everything to the back and you're putting all the power in the back, uh, you can get some acceleration going, but it's going to it's going to throw you. It's going to want to pull up. You're going to want to it's going to throw you like that. Now on the dual motor scooters, including my Klima, as fast as it is, all I have to do is just lean forward. I'll lean forward and I'm going. And I'm as long as I've got my weight shifted the correct way, that front motor pulls and it's fast and you're going, you're going boom, but it's like you're getting full control. And it does not feel like as long as you lean forward like it's going to come up. It's going to pop up on you. But the Segway Max G3, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. Something I'm not used to, whatever. But I try to lean forward and get that, and it just didn't. It didn't catch. There was a different feeling of having the front motor pulling at the same time, which I like. Maybe I just gotten used to it, but it just feels more stable. This guy here, he's crossing the street, and then I'm afraid I was going to get something on camera with him. He's got a bag, and he's waving at me. As a rule, I never take my hands off the steering, off the handlebars. I don't do it. Simple, plain. That's why I wear a helmet. I'm a safe rider. If I know the scooter can become unstable, taking my hand off, I just don't take my hand off. I'll wave at him here because he's waving at me. But we're going to cross the same direction here in a moment. And while he's riding, he waves at me again. I just give him a nod because I don't take my hands off. I'm not going very fast. I just don't do it. It's not a habit I want to get into. I don't want to, do it without thinking about it. So I make... Oh, I never did that. He takes his hand off. He goes crashing into a car or something. Anyway, so it pulls. It has a pull to it that's unlike my dual motor scooters. They have a pull, but that's just power. It's not a pop-up kind of feeling pull. This feels like the front's going to come off the ground. And instead of kind of throwing me back from the power of the scooter. I guess I can deal with that. I just readjust my my body weight, and I'm good. In this case, though, it doesn't do that. You still feel like you're gonna pop up. You don't feel that grip under you when you lean forward. I don't know. It's not the same as it's not the same. So my final thoughts on the G3. I'm impressed with it. I will admit, I don't think you'd have a problem going up hills. I don't think you'll have a problem with acceleration, but I still don't like it more than the Go. I wouldn't personally get it over the Go. I still like the Go better. It can still go. They go roughly the same. I think they've tested that one up to 28, and it may go a few miles faster than the Go, top speed. But I don't care for the lack of a grip. I don't know how else to say that, but just the feel of the acceleration itself when I want to, when I want to go faster, when I want to accelerate, I don't know. It feels better. I'm not skidding out. I know some people, the front kind of skids out. You don't have to worry about that on the rear motor. But I'm not when I just lean forward and I hit the accelerator pretty decently, I want to go and I want to feel secure. And I could not, no matter how many different times I tried that on the G3, I couldn't get that feeling. I couldn't feel like I could just lean forward and lean into the acceleration like I can on the Journey Max, like I can on the Go, and like I can on the Klima. I can lean into that power and feel comfortable. And on the G3, I was never able to find that balance, that feeling to where I felt comfortable leaning in and just punching it. And I did it several times. That just didn't feel right. Guys, if you enjoyed this content, you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Consider joining me on Patreon, picking up some merch, or buy me a coffee. Thanks, and happy riding.
Rolling down the city streets, no need for a crew. Wheels spinning under me, sky painted in blue. I'm a lightning streak, moving fast, cutting wide. No one's got my back, this is my solo ride. Solo ride, wind in my face. No rules to chase, no need for a race. I'm the king of the curb, freedom my guide. Electric heart beating, it's my solo ride. No